Ever found yourself in a chess game that turns into a thrilling dance of strategy and surprise? Let me take you through one such game where every move counts, and the stakes are sky high. We kicked off with d4, and my opponent responded with knight to f6. I followed up with bishop to f4, and he countered with pawn to d5. Next, I pushed pawn to e3, not just supporting my pawn on d4, but also clearing the way for my bishop. He played e6, and I brought my knight to f3. Pretty standard so far, right? But then, things got interesting. Black developed his knight to d7, instead of playing the typical pawn to c3 to form a pyramid. I went bold with c4, challenging the center. If Black took my pawn, I'd recapture with my bishop and bring it into play. But Black played c6 instead. I responded with c5, blocking his bishop from reaching d3. Now, the battle lines were drawn. He started advancing his pawns on the king side.
And I focused on the queen side.
His knight moved to h5,
targeting my bishop.
I pulled it back, ready to counter if he captured. He brought his other knight to f6, and I centralized my knight to e5, dominating the center. He offered a knight exchange by moving his knight back to d7, which I accepted to keep my pawn structure intact. With our knights off the board, he recaptured with his bishop. I developed my knight to d2, and he positioned his queen on e7. I moved my knight to f3, and he castled queenside. The tension was palpable. I pushed my pawn to b5, opening up the queen side. He played bishop to g7. I brought my rook to b1, and he pushed his pawn to f6, keeping up the king side pressure. I captured the pawn on c6, opening up lines for my rook. He responded with bishop to c6, ignoring my exchange offer and protecting his bishop with queen to c7. I castled, bringing my other rook into the queenside fray. He pushed his pawn to h4, aiming to break through my kingside defenses. I simply advanced my pawn, maintaining my strong position. Desperate for a pawn exchange, he pushed again. I advanced further, effectively neutralizing his attack. Shifting focus, he attacked my bishop on the queen side. I exchanged bishops, and he recaptured with his queen. Targeting his queen, I played rook to b6. He grabbed a pawn on a4 with his queen. But I brought my other rook into the game. Putting pressure on b7. He defended by moving his rook to d7. I brought my queen into play, and his king started to run. Seizing the moment, I captured a pawn. Instead of taking my rook, he sought safety. I moved my queen to b6, supporting my c-pawn push. He doubled his rooks, but I pressed on, targeting his rook. Forced to take my rook, I recaptured with a check. His king moved to f8, protecting his bishop. I continued my pawn push, realizing he was cornered with no escape. My opponent resigned, acknowledging the inevitable. Even though my opponent was higher rated than me, the opening which I choose to play helped me to put pressure throughout the game. Hit the like and subscribe button if you want more chess content like this.